Hello, everybody. Welcome to season 3 of Good News in Parks. We are so happy that you're joining us today. It has been a tremendous journey with all of you so far, but things are just getting better. First of all, I want to let you know, as you guys probably know because you're here today, we've introduced a new system for registration. So if you've participated in NRPA education, you're already familiar with the platform. It's called Elevate. So, once you register, you can log in at any time to sign up for new sessions and best of all, have access to all of your CEU certificates that you've earned through the platform. Remember, CEUs are only available for live sessions, but you can always watch past episodes at any time on Playcorps' YouTube channel. That's Playcorps News. And we know you're familiar, like I said, with how to register since you're here. But since this is a brand new system, we need your help to get the word out to your colleagues and professional contacts on how to sign up, because unlike past years, past attendees aren't automatically registered for the full season. And of course, we've added the field on the sign up form asking viewers who referred them to the show. And at the end of the season, the person who refers the most viewers is going to win that really cool prize package of Good News in Park swag that we showed in the December show. So we're going to have some more information for you at the end of the show on how to sign up, so you have a refresher course. And best of all, you'll have that as part of this recorded episode to refer to your colleagues after it's posted to YouTube. So there'll be a little tutorial on how to sign up that you can share. Today we have a fabulous show for you, and my co-host Jody Adams is going to tell you more about it, and our panelists, as well as some important national news that's happening. Jody, let's do this.
All right, Anne-Marie, cannot believe we're on season 3. This is so exciting, and we do have an esteemed panel group today. Yes. So let me get into the introductions and let's get rolling. But Anne-Marie, here we go.
Here we go.
Jay Cole, Executive Director, Fairfax County, Virginia Park Authority. An executive director, she heads 4-time gold medal award-winning department and accredited department through CAPRA, the Commission of Accreditation and Parks and Recreation Agencies. Before she joined Fairfax County for the second time, welcome back. She actually spent 16 years with Maryland National Capital Park and Recreation Planning Commission and in Montgomery County, Maryland. She also was the chief of Park Planning and Stewardship Division. For 7 years, she has also served as a member of the adjunct faculty at Graduate School USA, teaching a freshwater ecosystem course. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
Melissa, you betcha. Melissa Battite, Director, Town of Lexington, Massachusetts, Parks and Recreation. Before joining Town of Lexington, Melissa spent 23 years with the City of Brookline, Mass. Great job. She was the Assistant Director of the department. She is the past president of Massachusetts Parks and Recreation Association. She has also served as the chair of the NRPA, National Recreation and Park Association Administrators Network. And we are so excited because she's also a graduate of the NRPA Director School. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, Andrea Moore, Director, City of Mesa, Arizona, Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities. She was a strategic planner prior to being appointed director and has been with the city over 18 years. As director, she leads the 3-time gold medal award-winning department that is also accredited with CAPRA, the Commission of Accredited Parks and Recreation Association. And you're also a certified Parks and Recreation executive through the NRPA. We want to welcome you, Andrea. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, everyone, let's just jump right into the good news, national news. This today is all about you. This is about giving you some tidbits about professional opportunities that have opened up at the first of the year here for your growth, learning, and excelling as a professional and a person. So here we go. First one, American Academy of Parks and Recreation Administrators Mentoring Program has now opened up applications. The deadline will be February 11th. And this is not only an application for mentees, but for mentors. So if you're interested on being on either side of that learning experience, please sign up for the mentoring program, National Mentoring Program. Also, we have added, because I'm part of the committee, we have added a now webinar for January 27th, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And what's going to be key about that, we're going to go over the program, registration, and you can find information on all these details on the webinar and on the training. That will be on PlayCore Outreach for Education, Training and Education. But not only that, you can also go to the American Academy, AAPRA.org site. And you will find links on both of these websites with these organizations.
Hey, Jody, Inez just shared the link for that with our audience in the Q&A. So if anybody's interested in that.
Perfect. And Inez, thank you for your help. You have been a hero on helping us through this. NRPA, I can just tell you right now, they have posted the nominations for national awards. So don't miss out on this for individual awards of innovation and also agency awards. Make sure too, there are scholarship and fellowship awards that are available. That deadline will be March 25th. So stay tuned, colleagues, because if you go to nrpa.org, you will find the information on these national award programs and scholarships and fellowships. Number 3, scholarship opportunities with NRPA Director School. Yes, great school. Deadline for this is with the Toro Company. The scholarships are, March 3rd. And also that information can be at nrpa.org. And then finally, you know, this is near and dear to my heart, and many of you online right here and on air, Gold Medal Award Program. The application is opened and the deadline will be March 26th. We will also, if you go to the website of NRPA or the American Academy, which again, we'll post those. If you go ahead and go to those websites, you will have training, you have question and answer that will help you through the application, but do not think you do not qualify. These are given by categories of population, and so many departments might pass up that chance and not understand that they fit. And this is for you. And you do deserve that recognition for you in that community for excellence in management of parks and recreation. And also I want to mention for military bases worldwide, there is a gold medal award given for military bases. So anyway, folks, don't miss these opportunities. It's for you, but really it's for your community. All right, esteemed panelists, here we go. Our topic today, obviously, is all about capital planning and development. First question, as leading executives of national and state recognized departments who are trend leaders of best practices in the field, discuss your department's approach and best practices used in your park planning and development. And again, let's start with you, Jay. This is your background. Let's go for it.
Okay, so first, and I think that I speak for hopefully everybody, is that, you know, part of the best practices is to have some of the best, most passionate staff in the business. You know, people, when you're planning and doing capital projects, they really need to, you know, be in it, in their heart and their soul. So we have some of the best and most passionate staff there is. I'm sure everybody will argue with me, and that's fine. As we all know, people don't get into Parks and Rec for the money. They do it for the passion and the love of what they do. So that's the first thing. In Fairfax County, we have a very large park system. It's about 27,000 acres, 420 parks, and we serve about 1.2 million residents. So it's really imperative for us that we use a data-driven approach to our capital planning and our planning, because there's so many parks and so many different unique neighborhoods and areas of the county. You can't just plan a park and plop it anywhere. The park really needs to be a representative of the neighborhood that it's serving. And so really getting into the neighborhood is really important. We use a variety of tools. We're very big on needs assessments and getting out into the community. So we do needs assessments as to what do we need across the county based on our population, based on trends. We have people who study national trends and look at things that are happening. So we're sort of ahead of it. The game before it comes in, we look at NRPA data that's come out. We look at what other people are doing. We use the needs assessments for that. And then we do a lot of community tools, surveys. We go out to the community and we see what they want, because nationwide trends aren't so much geographically. Somebody might really like something in the West Coast and maybe it's high, but not as high in Fairfax County. So now we have to sort of whittle it down to what do our residents value the most in general, and put those two together. What do we do well? What do we not do well? What do we need more of? And it's usually that $100 question. If you had $100, what would you spend it on? You know, across the country, most people say protecting and what you have. And that's usually our hard sell. People like new, shiny. The politicians like new and shiny. And so we're a 70-year-old park system. And so we don't have much new and shiny. So it's really hard. It's not sexy, right? It's not going out there and fixing asphalt and, doing it. It's not the ribbon cutting thing. But if we don't do it, then we're going to be doing a full-blown capital project there in the next couple of years. So trying to figure out how we can also add in the new and shiny while also slipping in the protecting what we have and doing the deferred maintenance is really important for us. Another thing that we're really focused on is equity, especially in capital projects. Historically, just the way that the machine works, and we all know what the machine is. Somebody wants something in their neighborhood, they call their politicians. A politician calls us, we go out there and fix the fence. Well, there's a broken fence in a equity area as well. They just don't have the time or the inclination to get into that machine and call us. So it's our jobs to really making sure that we're doing it ourselves for our communities and looking at, okay, we should fix the broken fence. A broken fence is a broken fence, but we should also go see where the other fences are broken and fix those as well without somebody having to ask us to do that. My goal is to have a park system where the predominant race and income of an area doesn't predetermine the quality and quantity of parks in that area. And I don't think it's something that's been done purposefully. It's just the machine that's going in. So I think that we're really focused on pausing a little bit and looking at how we can increase the pie, especially in equity areas, and be giving people in those areas what they desire and what they value, and not sort of pushing another thing over because we have a park there. So we'll push a need to that community and we'll call it good. And it's full and it's used, but it's used by people not in that community. So how are we sort of looking with a scalpel at areas? So those are my topics.
Jay, you've been a leader for so many years, and so many people looked at Maryland Capital, and you now brought this expertise to Fairfax. This is going to be so beneficial. Gosh, you have a great system anyway of the 70 years, but boy, complimenting you on just jumping right in, and you have already started quite a process. So congratulations on that. And that's, again, why we had to have you on the show. And thank you for joining us. Melissa, your turn. Let's rock on this one.
Great. Thanks, Jody and Anne Marie. So in our community, we have a pretty established capital improvement plan town-wide that we are already a part of. In our agency, we work really hard to build our value throughout the year in all of our programs and services, so that when we do come forward and we're requesting funds, that the community already understands the importance of why we're coming for that. Similar to what Jay said, we rely heavily on our justification when going for those funds and the location or what it might be. So we have a lot of homework that we do in the beginning, whether it's tools that we use internally with our own community needs assessment, our open space and recreation plan, the townwide comprehensive plan. We work closely with the Commission on Disabilities. We recently hired in town a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director. So for us here, our department is a little bit smaller. We have a smaller community, but we have a lot of specialists in town that we bring in. And it's really important to know who those specialists are to bring in on your team, whether it's the engineer from DPW or it's that community stakeholder that's going to make sure they rally the advocates for you in that particular precinct. But really what we try to do is make sure that we engage all of the community, whether we agree with their engagement or not, because when we go to move forward with implementing projects and requesting them, we want to make sure that there's no surprises and that we can answer every question about the whys and why nots. And no one ever gets 100% of what they want, but if they're part of the process and they feel that they've been heard, compromise always wins, and it's always for the greater good. And so what we do here is make sure that whatever the capital project is a playground, if it's a $3.5 million community park, whatever it may be, that we go through all of the same steps of engaging the community so that we know that we've done our homework and that we are continuing to build that foundation of trust, because we have capital requests every single year, and they can be a piece of equipment for the golf course. It might be a vehicle for a staff person, and it might be a new shelter structure at the pool. They're all very different, but they all deserve the same type of approach so that we end up with longevity and products and things that are meeting our regulatory health and safety. They're the newest technology to meet the town's goals, whether it's sustainability or equity or accessibility. And at the same time, we're meeting the needs of our customers and the trends of recreation, which change so quickly. So that's how we're approaching it here.
You know, Melissa, you all have just knocked it out when you're bringing in people and experts to your smaller town or department. And I just want to emphasize that. As you can see, and you'll hear this from Andrea, we have all different size shapes here, but there's always a different, and there may be a different approach, but there's always a way. So I thank you, Melissa, for sharing that, because that's one reason we wanted you on. You're an expert when it comes to bringing in those outside resources, because you're smaller, and you have to do that to bring those experts in. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Adrian? Okay, Andrea, it's all yours.
Great.
Bring us home on this one.
All right. So just in terms of framing what Mesa is, we have about 500,000 people here. We sit spread out in the valley, as every city in our valley does, about 140 square miles. And we have about 2,000 acres, 5 million square feet of buildings that we maintain through our park system and all of our city buildings. And so we've had an evolution over time. We went for about 15 years without any major investment in our park system. A couple of failed bond questions happened, and just we laid low for a long time. In 2012 and 2018, we had successful bond programs, and through those two packages, we were able to address some pretty significant shortages in our park system in terms of newly developed areas of the communities that didn't have parks, sports fields not being available in really large swaths of Mesa. So we've been addressing those gaps. And as we look to what happens next, we're in the process of putting together a master plan to get us to 2040, where we put more data into what is it that needs to happen next. And we've also, within the past 10 years, been able to systemically invest more in our aging parks while we've been developing new. And we're putting more data behind that, collecting our assets, rating them, trying to understand what kind of condition and what kind of budget forecasts we need to put in place. So it's definitely a work in progress, but following the trend of what we're seeing across the country, trying to put more data behind those decisions as we move forward.
You know, you mentioned it, but I've been at your system, and tremendous system of what you have gone in, expanded, or just took care of everyday maintenance and development of redevelopment of facilities. What's great is too, your system never shuts down, just like everyone on here, but never shuts down outdoors, just with the weather and everything you've got going. So compliments to you all, because you have, boy, folks, if you want to see a system that runs 24/7, like a lot of us do, go, especially on the outdoor, you need to go to City Mesa. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you, Anne Marie. Let's go to our first poll question.
All right, let's do it. I'm actually ready to go to the City of Mesa just for the weather. Listening to
Yeah.
talk about in the early part of the session, the weather there, it just sounds pretty good to me. All right, as you all know, we do poll questions throughout the show to just kind of get a feeling of what's going on and what everybody out there is seeing. As you know, also, we get a lot of show ideas and direction from the poll questions and the survey questions that we do. So it's really important. We love to hear what you guys are thinking. So as we're talking about funding, here is the first one that we would love to hear on. Where are you all seeing the greatest influx of funding for parks? There seems to be, some more dollars that have opened up from a variety of different sources out there. So we're just curious from the audience perspective, where you are seeing the greatest influx of those funds. Is it through the Land and Water Conservation Fund, the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Program? Is it through CARES Act or COVID-related funding? Local grants to your state or within your state, even smaller community grants that have happened within your state itself. Increased funding through existing city budgets, new funding available through city or county budgets like tax or bond, increased user fees, special funds, private funders, corporate or foundational funders, or is it something else? And again, there's a limited amount of numbers that we can put in here for Zoom for answers. And so we know that we often cannot come up with every particular outlet, especially within this funding question, as there's a lot of different opportunities out there for funding. So if it is something else that you're seeing, go ahead and check that box. And we would love to hear from you in the Q&A what those other sources of funding are. Because again, there's a lot of different funding and different sources that are out there right now. Thankfully, to help everybody, do some things in their park that they've been wanting to do for a while. So a lot of voting going on. We do want to hear from you all. Actually, a lot of the folks have voted on this one, but we're going to give you about 5 more seconds here. So please, give a quick thought to this one and choose, where you're seeing that greatest influx. And we will end the polling here in 3, 2, 1. Okay, a couple last minute answers coming in there. And let's go ahead and end the poll and we'll share this one with you all. Very interesting there. It looks like the CARES Act COVID funding is by, certainly the first one, but increased funding through both existing and new city county budgets is also local grants within your state. Not so much for the user fees or whatever, something else. We've got a couple of responses there. Lisa shares with us that they had a community center built with impact fees from a casino. Very cool. That's awesome.
There you go.
So great. If you think of anything else that you're seeing, go ahead and enter that. It doesn't have to be as we're doing the poll question. We're always interested to hear what you guys are thinking and seeing out there. And we will stop this one and take it back to Jody, and we'll have some more poll questions for you later in the show.
Well, ironically, this morning, Anne Marie, I was on with the National Association of Park Foundations. And I can tell you right now, this morning, the data coming out, there is more private money than ever. So I hope everyone will jump on this.
Yeah.
They are astonished with the amount of national, state, local money that's coming through for our local community. So just also, they're a great resource for your park foundations. I would go to napf.org and I would definitely use them as a resource. Okay, panelists, question number 2. As a follow-up to the earlier question, walk us through a step-by-step implementation of one of your department's most innovative capital projects that is currently in the planning stages or has been completed in recent years. Melissa, let me turn this one to you.
Great, thank you. So this project was completed in July of 2020 and took place over the course of 2+ years. It was something that was in our 5-year capital plan and delayed twice, paused, I should say, which ended up being a benefit for the park. We have 2 large community parks. This particular community park was having 2 baseball field, softball field, swimming pool, 2 basketball courts, and 10 tennis courts, all the athletic lighting replaced and or new put in. And simultaneously, the year after, the track was outliving its life. We had already resurfaced it, so it was a complete new construction. So that track was going to be replaced. The inside of that field was going to be widened so that we can accommodate more multi-use sports. Lights were going to be added, accessible pathways amongst the entire 64-acre park, amongst other things. So as we were doing the ball fields first, we had to look ahead. And so we built out the whole park. So we had the proper transformers and consolidated old systems that were still manual. We also were able to build the infrastructure in for future technology and conduits that would improve operations at the pool, because we were going to be adding a point of sale system there. We've added for the first park in our town, we have one of those emergency blue call boxes now, because we were able to build the infrastructure in advance. And our point of sale system now talks to our lighting system, so we can adjust our lights in that way. So this project had to be thought about as individual amenities, and how does that impact the groups that are using that field or the pool, or what season, and if it is going to impact athletics, but also the long term. So this was a really good learning curve for our entire town, because once you had the funding, there were so many decisions that still had to be made. We had to have 4 or 5 community meetings just about the surface of the field. Were we going to go back to natural grass, choose a synthetic? What type of synthetic? Would it be hybrid? What was that going to look like? Was the track going to be 6 lanes or 8 lanes? And if we went to 8, we would reduce our tennis courts and shorten the outfield of our softball field. If we did if we moved the shelter over, we were going to lose 3 trees. If we moved the javelin throw, we were going to lose our playground. All these decisions had to be made. So we had to do thoughtful step-by-step outreach in those 2 years building up, and then within the 2 years of the project. So we were fast friends with our local committees on the finance. This park is also the home to the high school here, so they use that as well. So we had to bring in the school district, athletics, and PE and health and wellness. It's also a location that is used by the community pretty much 24/7. You'll never walk by that track without someone being on it, of all ages and abilities. So we brought in the tree committee, we brought in the families that use the playground, we brought in all the stakeholders, as well as had large community meetings. And I'll tell you that some of them were very heated, based on whether it was environmental, coming from the lens of environmental in the synthetic field, or if it was about the shortage of field hours and the expanded use and the growth of and changes in our demographics, or the change in the school system and having a longer school day. So we needed more lights on our field to accommodate our community use. So there was a lot of conversations and challenging, opposing priorities. But what was important is to stay true to your goal and the mission of the project, and sharing what the goal, the gains and the losses would be, and letting those conversations percolate and then help guide those decisions. At the end of the day, we ended up with a beautiful, it was just under $4 million state-of-the-art track, synthetic field, lights, all of those. And the community now celebrates it. It was very contentious at town meeting floor for 2 years. It was, really people trying to take sides, whether if it was a benefit for one sport versus another. But we really ended up with a beautiful facility that is now here for generations to come, much longer past when we'll be here in Lexington. But we know that you go down there and you see that all abilities are able to access every corner of that park. We're able to keep the facility lit and expand programming. All types of new things are going on across that entire park. Which is very, very exciting. And I will say that in all of your capital planning, no matter how big or small and whatever steps you take, don't forget to celebrate it and celebrate that ribbon cutting and invite all of those stakeholders and thank them for their input and their contributions, because without those contributions, it is just us as professionals making decisions. And it's their asset, it's their park. And we're just here to make sure that the park system remains at high quality and state of the art for years to come.
You know, you made the point right there. It's the people's parks. And we're just the administrators, just making sure we facilitate and make sure it's done correctly. And you're so right. It's the people's parks. What's the name of this park?
This is called Center Recreation Complex. It's in Lexington, Mass. Yes.
Okay. Well, look it up, folks. And if you need to, get a hold of Melissa, because she can help you out, or her staff can, because obviously it sounds like it's cutting edge, state of the art. But again, it came from your people, and obviously you had huge engagement. Andrea, let's turn to you.
Sure. We have a unique parcel that surrounds a water treatment plant. And beginning about 15 years ago, that water treatment plant needed to expand. It's in an area of the community that didn't have any city parks around it, but lots of homeowners association controlled parks. And so as the water treatment plant started to grow, we heard from the community that they wanted to, it's a significant parcel and they wanted to have some access to it. And so we started to talk about what that might look like as a park outside of the walls of the water treatment plant, and worked on a trail system that surrounds it that would be ADA compliant. There's a significant wash. So in our terms, it always has water in it, not enough to call it a river. It's more like a trickle all the time. But in Arizona, having access to any flowing water is unique. And that cuts through the middle of the parcel. And we wanted to be able to let kids and families interact with that water as well. And so we started with hearing feedback and putting a trail system in place through outside of the water treatment plant walls, and kind of masking that there's this big industrial use in the middle of the parcel. And then fast forward a few years, as we were getting through our design process, we passed another bond program in 2018 that included a second phase of development for that. And it included a playground. And so we were able to fast track the playground, get it in with that first phase of development, and really made that a community point of pride. The playground is one of our, we have a few now, signature destination playgrounds, and people come from all over to be there, to experience it. You feel like you're in a space station when you're up in that playground, and still be able to have all the activity around the trail system that surrounds it. And then going forward, we're just in the beginning process of scoping and getting community input on some bike track facilities that'll go next to all of that. So an exciting way to hide a water treatment plant in the middle of a built up residential area and really make it feel like a place where people want to be.
You know, we all are probably experiencing some of this. Obviously, water is, you know, we built a watershed center with our Springfield-Greene County Park System. I mean, it's so important. And Jay, I'm preaching to the choir because you are an expert on this. I'll tell you, I'm so happy you did this. I saw this parcel and you have done a tremendous job on this. So folks, again, if you're in that west area, that's a tough one. We all are preserving our water, but you're in a tough area. They are experts on this. Get a hold of Andrea. All right, to you, Jay.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick a environmentally centered project that we actually just broke ground on. So it's called Sully Woodlands Education Center. So our Sully Woodland, it's more of a place than a park. It's a 4,400 acre parcel on the western portion of our county. It's comprised of 43 parks. There's a long story as to how it came together, but it's a Sully Woodland. It's all together becomes Sully Woodland. So as part of the master plan in 2006, we wanted to make sure we had a big idea. Like, what's the big idea? Because there's a lot of conservation land, and as we all know, conservation land is very important. But we also want to be able to get people into it and learn a little bit about why this conservation land is important. And so we wanted a state-of-the-art stewardship education, an interpretive center in Sully Woodland, but we wanted to have a sustainable, smaller footprint while still sort of serving to keep in keeping with the conservation theme, the purpose of the 4,400 acres. And so we explored what that might look like. And we assembled a team to look at, analyze possible approaches. As I said before, we looked at other facilities in the region and held a charrette with invited potential partners. We really wanted this to be an efficient off-the-grid facility that generates more power than it uses, is net positive for water. And we put all the things together into a list, and really the living building challenge met all of our objectives. So we designed a project to meet the living building challenges, and some of the designs that we included in that was, minimizing light, not disrupting the natural flow of stormwater, so it recycles naturally. Minimizing the use of concrete by utilizing renewables like cross-laminate timber for the building roof columns, floor slab structure, things like that. Passive cooling techniques, large overhangs, large open operable doors, fans, high venting. We minimized our heat by using efficient electric radiant heaters that are designed for a temperature of about 65 degrees. A masonry heater, sort of similar to a fireplace, was added to supplement that heating for the coldest days, as well as using it for a teaching tool. So we salvaged finishes from obsolete Park Authority structures for reuse in the design of this facility, putting them to good use and sort of keeping them out of the landfill. We have net positive for water by using a well for our potable water. For the building, we collect rainwater in a cistern and we filter it for the use in toilets and for our irrigation. The all-electric building will have LED lighting, storage batteries, powered by photovoltaic panels from the building's parking lot, which will do two things. It'll provide us with electricity, but also provide shade. So we're reducing the hot water going into the stream. We're providing shade structures for that and for people. The parking lot is also designed to resolve stormwater issues by recirculating that stormwater and filtering it and storing it if we need it for irrigation. So we use a lot of these techniques. It's gonna be a certified livable building challenge. It's off the grid. It really does sort of fit in with the nature of this huge conservation land, and we're hoping that we started construction. It will be finished in 2023.
Wow. I cannot wait to see this facility. My gosh, you have done everything from start to finish of not only the innovation, but just the reusage and just, wow, putting every technique to it to make it so environmentally, not only friendly, just doing the right thing. Folks, listen to passion here. Look, all three of these people just demonstrated what we're all about. From the heart, from the passion. You talking about projects for our citizens. You all three just demonstrated one of the most passionate moments we've had on this show. And thank you so much for your work, because you are the leaders, again, as we talked about in this question. Anne Marie, turn it back over to you for poll 2 and 3.
All
And
right,
Gary,
sounds good. And I want to just give a quick shout out to Gary Gates, who's going to be joining us for an upcoming segment that Jody's going to be asking about state, what's going on, good news in our state association. So that's coming up. Gary, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Let's get to poll question number 2. So again, talking about capital projects, we want to know from you in the audience, what capital projects are you planning in the next year? New land acquisition, new infrastructure within the park, renovation of existing infrastructure with the park, or you don't have anything planned in the next year, and that's fine too. So just pick which one applies to you the most there. A lot of quick voting going on this one. There's only 4 responses, so it's pretty easy. Numbers are ticking up pretty quick here. Lots of planning going on. I know a lot of folks are not doing any capital projects right away because they're just really thinking about planning and, for funding that they may have, what is the best use of that, and working with communities and, their community and trying to figure out where the best application of that would go. So we, looks like everybody has voted. This is awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and end the poll, and we're going to share this one with you. Renovation looks like it is by far the most popular, but certainly folks looking at all the others as well. New infrastructure, new land acquisition, and a few of you with no capital projects planned for this year. So that's terrific. We have one more poll question before we move on to question 3 for our panelists. And that one is around how capital planning is handled in your department. Lots of different ways to do that. So is it handled by someone on your staff or a committee within your staff? Is it external staff within city or county or government that isn't part of your direct staff? Is it outsourced to a third party to help with planning? Or is it something else? So obviously there could be some other options there as well. If it is something else, we'd love you to check that box and share with us in the Q&A how capital project planning is handled within your department. And I can tell you there is one answer here emerging way high above all the others. No surprise, we'll give you about 3 more seconds to answer this one, pardon me, and we will end that one in 3, 2, 1, and let's go ahead and end it and share with the audience. Looks like everybody's doing it within their staff, a few using external staff or outsource or something else. For the folks that voted something else, go ahead and share with us how that is done so that we can share that with the viewing audience here. Lots of different ways to do that. And we're always interested in hearing about your creativity. But thank you. Again, we get a lot of our show ideas from your polls. So we appreciate always you folks taking part in that and sharing with us. And we're going to stop now and send it back to Jody, who can take us into question 3. Jody?
You bet. Well, I'll tell you what, you have 3 great leaders here of departments, but you can't do it alone. So this third question is to guide us and share with our audience how you're getting it done with other people. And what does that look like to make sure that you can do the right project, make sure that you can pull these tremendous parks off. 2 parts. Part 1, what training and certifications should a department executive be looking for in hiring a position who is charged with the department's capital project planning and development? And the part 2, does your department dedicate work time and or financially support employees who are looking to obtain or retain this type of relevant department requirement and or suggested planning certifications and trainings? Andrea, please lead us off on this question.
Sure. We do a lot of promotion within. I think everybody's focusing on that right now, considering the complexities of the labor market. But we're really looking for folks who have a lot of experience and exposure to both managing projects and understanding a full cycle of an asset, from planning it, constructing it, and then taking care of it. And so project management certification is helpful, understanding how to do Gantt charts and how they relate between projects and within each project, huge benefit to that, but also having some higher level education to be able to grasp and execute that planning piece that's so critical to what we're working on.
And so when you're looking for this, are you giving them time during work to do some of this? Are you financially supporting? How does that work for you all?
We do, as a city, we do. So we do have dedicated budget to help with tuition reimbursement and for participation in training and ongoing CEUs. We put a priority on that throughout our staff. So whether it's recreation staff or maintenance staff or administrative staff, all are focused on having that kind of access to professional development, but they need to be willing to follow through with it too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Jay, what are you doing with your department?
So, and I will be remiss if I don't say that I will be hiring somebody to run our capital.
Hey,
I have a
okay.
vacancy now that the advertisement should be coming out soon to manage our many capital projects. So
All right.
my hustle my hustle game is very strong. I think that one of the things that we are looking for is we have a lot of different, we have very large rec centers. So we have a lot of architects. We have planning. So a lot of people who are certified AICP for the big picture. We have engineers who are PEs that are on our staff who do a lot of the stuff. What am I missing? I don't want to, and then LAs, landscape architects.
Mhm.
So we have the whole gambit. I think that when you're talking about running the program, I think it can be any of those expertises. But the most important thing is your ability to see the big picture, right? Can you come out of your thing and see the big picture? And, one of the things that I really give a lot of priority to is experience in parks. Because when you're dealing in a lot of different other agencies, when you're talking about capital, they're large projects or one type of project. And park capital projects are a whole bunch of small projects, small dots that come together to form a constellation, right? So you have to be looking at each individual project, understand which one has to go first, which one ties into this, which one is important. People don't realize how politically important parks are until you get into the business. I think people just think that but parks are very political. So you have to factor in the political aspect of things. And so I think a park focused, very large picture, and being able to appreciate the LAs and the architects and the planners and the engineers in their role in putting that whole thing together is probably the most important aspect that I am looking for my new person to head my capital projects division.
Hey, that's great timing. Get the word out. That's what this show's about. Hey, listen, so what's your department? Do you give time? Do you support their certifications? How do you handle that?
Yes, like Andrea, we do provide tuition assistance. I'm a very big believer in conferences and going out there and seeing what's happening. So any opportunity to get CEUs for whatever you have. I just had somebody finish their master's degree. I think a large portion of that was paid for by the county, as long as it's under the auspices of your job. And then we have internal training for almost any possible subject. So we're very big on making sure that you have the tools to do your job to the highest ability, as long as it's doing your job. I'm supportive of everything. I'm not a huge, you must have this. I'm more interested in the person and the experience. If you have 20 years of experience and you're not an AICP, that does not necessarily put you in the trash pile for me. I think that's an that's you're interested in furthering your education. I'm most important with your focus on parks to understand where it fits into the landscape and the community, and you're passionate about what you're doing.
Oh, you bet. That's a great crescendo to your response right there. Passion and really up your game to understand parks and the details of it. Excellent. Melissa, please finish us off on this one.
Yes, well, I think Andrea and Jay may have been reading my notes because we've said a lot of the same things. And I would say that a lot of the hiring practices we have here, even in previous communities, isn't specific to capital planning. I think we've learned over the years that you need the right person. You can teach some skills, you can send to trainings, you can earn trainings along the way, but you really need someone with a vision and somebody who wants to maintain and grow as a professional, but also grow your department. That doesn't mean by people or by dollars, but really just grow. And the big picture, someone who has the big pictures, but is able to follow the details and put those details so that they all make sense at the end. And I really like your analogy of the stars and the constellation, because those are the types of personality traits that are very difficult to coach and mentor, because it's part of who you are. And so I think that, for any position you're hiring, whether it's a program coordinator or a planner or whatever it might be, you want that person who has that get up and go, that has that inner their drive and wants to see things get better regardless of their certification or how much education they have. And that seems to be working well here. You know, we certainly are proponents of certifications in our field, whether it's the CPRP and the CPRE and all the other ones that we can get within our industry. And then not many people go into Park and Rec thinking they're going to need to know how to do human services or how they're going to need to know engineering or sustainability or conservation or stormwater management or any of that. And that's what you learn along the way. And so what I try to do here and what we do in town as a whole is we really do a lot of what Andrea does, try to promote from within, to have some succession planning, have your staff who are working in these facilities shadow as part of the capital planning and some of those site meetings once a project starts, so that they can be part of those decision making along the way. So then they understand when they're offering a program or a service that's why that facility looks that way or is in that condition, or be able to speak to it as the owner of that leader of that project. So we try to do a lot of the shadowing here, and it really seems to work well within our department, but also shadowing in other people's departments, because if DPW has a big project and it's shutting down your main streets, it's impacting how people are getting to and from school into your facilities on the weekends and nights. So really that big picture and vision is super important for us.
Great advisement from all three of you. Thank you so much, because again, you can't do it alone. You've got to have that great team behind you and with you, not just behind you, with you all the way. All right, we have a new segment that we're adding to the show, and that is our State Parks and Recreation Association. So we've got the West and we've got the East, and now we're coming to the Midwest, to Missouri. And Gary, welcome to the show. And I don't mind saying, Gary and I first met when he joined the Springfield Green County Park Board, and he was a leader in our department. So Gary, I just got a couple of questions for you. Tell us what's going on with MPRA and where are you heading for 2022?
Well, absolutely. I want to start off by saying thank you, Jody and the group, for having me today. So MPRA is doing what we do best and continuing to move forward and evolve with our offerings. Like many of the states around the U.S., we, as an association, provide that educational aspect for that continuing education that the panelists were just speaking about. So MPRA, we're continuing to expand and improve our educational offerings each year. With the change of the membership structure back in 2018, we had a huge influx of members that are not quite that traditional Parks and Recreation employee that you may think of, the CPRP, CPRE. So for example, you know, the park maintenance staff, the customer service reps at a community center, and other the frontline employees. And we've worked over the past few years to really bring these folks into the fold in our events. And we've added things like a maintenance rodeo. We just had one last week in the St. Louis area and one yesterday in the Kansas City area. It's a way to give back to those employees and show our appreciation to them, and for them to network with their counterparts in other communities. Park resources, we've focused on safety days and green days to really, again, bring that frontline staff into the educational fold there and teach them about opportunities that are out there in case their supervisors aren't bringing that information back to the shops, so to say. We do marketing and customer service workshops, and we're expanding our annual conference to include a webinar series post-conference. We did that last year out of necessity with travel and training restrictions. And we found that, you know, it was popular enough that we'll continue to offer that post-conference. Of course, with everything, we're moving into that hybrid or even the virtual events like we're doing today. What we found, especially with the focus on those frontline staff folks, we're able to reach quite a few more of those participants in the virtual environment or a hybrid environment. And that's really our end goal, is to see how far we can reach into the Parks and Recreation community and touch as many of those as possible. So We're in the home stretches of planning and preparing for our annual conference. This year, we're going to be back in good old Springfield, Missouri. Bob Belote and his committee have done a fantastic job lining up some excellent speakers, soliciting the sponsors and exhibitors, and coordinating some really exciting tours to showcase what Springfield Greene County Park Board has accomplished in the years since the last time we were there. So we'll wrap up the end of our week with our annual awards banquet and our Hall of Fame induction ceremony. That's really the keystone or the capstone event of the week. And so for those of you on the call that may not know, the 2022 Missouri Recreation and Parks Hall of Fame inductee is the one and only Jody Adams. So congratulations to Jody.
Oh my God.
Very well deserved.
I tell you to do that.
She did not. She did not.
Tell you to do that. I'm sorry.
Well, I could say for all the years that I've known Jody, she's an absolute shoe-in for this honor. And we actually, up until recently, the reason she's not already in the Hall of Fame is until recently, you had to be retired for, I think it was 3 years. And you know, Jody, I don't know if Jody's ever going to really retire and meet that criteria. So we had to modify some rules there a little bit. And I think more than deserving, very excited to share this event with her and her loved ones and friends and family here at the 1st of March. So
well,
finally,
thank you, Gary.
You're quite welcome. Very well deserved.
Well,
on a legislative front, we're coming off an legislative session with a big victory. We were able to expand rec use liability protection for homeowners. So here in Missouri, up until this past year, only those in unincorporated Missouri, meaning outside the boundaries of a municipality or a town or village or whatever size element you're in, only those landowners owning greater than an acre were protected from a park user coming onto their property. And so we fought for many years to get that expanded, not only into those incorporated areas, but also to any landowner. And so after years of pushing and prodding, and we were able to get that passed last year. So every adjacent landowner in Missouri is protected from a patron that comes off of that property or off of the park and onto their property. And you know, you say, well, what's the big deal about this? Well, this is just another tool for the agencies to go out and fight NIMBY and expand their inventories in their parks. So, you know, and most certainly everything that we do, we've really dialed in the past few years is to weave in that diversity, equity, and inclusion in all that we do with MPRA. And wanted to take a minute to really thank Autumn Saxton Ross, a Missouri native, by the way, and just express how great of a job that she's done with NRPA, developing those resources for the state affiliates. And many of us who have limited resources and time to dedicate to such an important cause. So that's really what we got going on here in Missouri. And so there you go.
Well, you know, Gary, this is what's amazing is we were talking about capital development and everything. What you just talked about, that landowner situation, thank you for leading that, because that's been a big legislative not only challenge, but now accomplishment for us as departments in Missouri. So folks across country, if you're into this and you're having some pushback, I would get a hold of Gary on that. Thank you for being our first guest as a executive director of a state. And we're going to move on now to our next segment. Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. It's back to you, Anne Marie. This is one of our most favorite times.
It is. Yeah, this is certainly, as we looked at things that we wanted to continue, you know, during the show, one of the things that absolutely everybody loves is our Good News in Parks About Great People segment, where we give our panelists a few minutes to talk about somebody on their staff that's doing a great job. So let's go ahead and just jump right in with that. And Melissa, tell us about Anne.
Thank you so much. Well, this is was my most favorite part of being asked to be part of this. Anne McKean is the department assistant for the recreation department. And in her role, she is the one that comes and leads our community center welcome area every day. Our community center is shared with the Human Services Department, which is also overseeing Council on Aging. So you can imagine the wide variety in this multi-generational building every single day. She comes here, she's the first voice, the first face, and the first smile to every staff person and visitor that comes to our building. And the love that she has of people comes through her infectious optimism for life and her true compassion for each person. She knows every member by name and makes everyone feel like they're at home the minute they walk in. She's always willing to help and work on new projects, contribute on a team effort or on individual tasks. She's flexible, always thinking of what's next. And if you could imagine someone who has this much front-facing customer service in March of 2020, when we were closed our doors, someone who was 100% customer service, interacting with the public every minute of her day, was then working 100% remote, removed from her people. And we were faced in our department with a time of furloughing staff and eliminating positions. So Anne really took control of this position and made her position relevant and was able to make her position remote. And she did that by staying connected with our members. She created a new program of sending out electronic birthday cards, where normally when you check into our building, if you do your swipe card, it rings a different ring if it's your birthday. So she was able to say happy birthday in person, but she then reached out, reduced isolation, especially with our seniors who were looking forward to coming in. It was their only outreach and socialization. She remained positive as always, quickly to begin and create new ways to remain connected. In addition to the birthday wishes, she saw that the rest of our staff was really suffering with trying to stay up with opening, closing, reopening, the guidelines changing. And we were in the midst of implementing a new point of sale system. So Anne took over some of the administrative responsibilities of that point of sale, and she worked with our staff to learn all the details about what it means to data enter a program, run a roster, check those forms are coming in. And she really was just like the linchpin that kept us together with her optimism and her smile, and even through Zoom, our team meetings. So we have some analogy here of Anne that we call her, she's the hub. If you want something, you want to know what's going on, everyone goes to Anne first, and then they go to everyone else. There's a saying that, you have a bus and you need a bus driver. Well, Anne is our bus driver. She is the go-to person. And when you think about the song from Cheers, Everybody Knows Your Name, that's Anne. People think of the community center, they might think of their ping pong or their fitness class or the billiards room or their socialized lunch, but every person that walks in here, if Anne's not at the desk, will say, "Where's Anne?" So Anne, I hope you're still on the call. Thank you for all you do. We couldn't do it without you, and we all love you. We're so grateful that you're part of our team.
That is absolutely awesome. She sounds like just the kind of person that everybody dreams of finding. So congratulations, Anne. Thank you so much for that, Melissa. All right, Jay, tell us all about Cindy.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry, I couldn't see that thing. Okay, so very excited. I was also very excited to have this. I think this is the only reason I agreed to be on the show, is so I could talk about staff, and then they had to whittle it down for me. So before I started here in Fairfax County Park Authority, I didn't think it was possible to have, sort of to the previous question about what certifications and things you're looking for in a division chief or somebody to run your capital programs, and being very specific. Cindy could run our capital programs. I've never met a division director who's just can do any department that she's and she's done half of the departments in our staff. When I first started here, she was managing our rec services division, which is 9 rec centers, very large rec centers with a very heavy 100% revenue model, but also doing half of another division. She was previously the resources management division director. Cindy's really done every position almost in the park authority. And they wrote me stuff. I'm going to do it because I want to make sure that I get all the main points. So Cindy started with the Park Authority in September 1989 as the agency's first special populations coordinator. Over the past 3+ decades, she has served as the agency's access supervisor, program supervisor for the rec centers, site operations manager for the Park Service Division, operations branch manager for the Resource Management Division, division director for Resource Management Division, and most recently, director of the Park Services Division. She has a bachelor's degree in therapeutic recreation from Longwood College in Virginia. And after graduation, she worked for Chesterfield Parks and Recreation, the Northern Virginia Training Center, and Prince William County Park Authority. In all of her roles with the agency, she has demonstrated the ability to get the job done. When COVID-19 struck, I'm sure everybody had this issue with programming, especially in rec centers. Her division pivoted to accommodate the new normal. And remember, we are 100% on the rec center side revenue generating. So when COVID hit, it was $0 coming in, and it was crazy time trying to think about how we're gonna still provide the services for our residents. So she did just a phenomenal job of pivoting to accommodate this new normal, helped work with her staff to create free virtual fitness programs. She turned our summer performance series into a popular live stream. She developed safe COVID-19 procedures for our patrons and staff. And as everybody remembers, it changed on a dime every week and we never know what was going to happen. And so she had to really be flexible and accommodating and innovative in how we're going to deal with this thing that we'd never had to deal with before. She safely reopened vital community-centric programs. We have daycare in a lot of our facilities, which is vital for a lot of working parents, swim lessons, as well as summer camps. She dealt with budget shortfalls, staff scarcity, supply chain deficiencies that we're all dealing with right now during site renovations. Cindy has always been on it and well prepared for the challenges ahead. She's the kind of employee everybody wants to have. I'm confident that the hundreds of young professionals that she's worked with over the years will emulate her because she really does provide or shows a continuum of excellence. She's been throughout COVID, she did all of our rec centers plus half of a division when we had a vacancy, and she did it with a smile on her face. She was going to hate me at that picture on the right. She doesn't have a smile on her face in that picture, but she has a smile on her face all the time in general. And she is just somebody that any vacancy or any opening, doesn't matter what the subject, because she instills in her staff so much value and listens, and she could do pretty much any job here and pretty much has done it. So I'm very excited to talk about Cindy Walsh, who was just, I don't know what we couldn't do anything with that. And she's not yelling at somebody in that second picture. She's gonna tell me about that one too. She is talking about at a retirement, and she was that enthusiastic about the retiree. So thank you very much, Cindy Walsh. We're so lucky to have you.
That's awesome. Yeah, she looks just absolutely passionate in that second picture about whatever it is she's talking about. And what an incredible range of experience and things that she does for you. That is just incredible. So thank you so much for sharing that, and congratulations, Cindy. All right, Andrea, tell us, oh, wait a minute. Sorry about that. Let's go back here. But a technical difficulty. Tell us about Roxana. I got to tell you, I love this photo. I love this photo. This is just somebody that I want to reach out to. I don't even know her. It's just absolutely amazing.
And she is amazing, and she's that approachable. So I hired her in 2013 when we finally were able to start doing some capital improvements. It was the first time we had a project manager in our department. And she has been so instrumental in hundreds of millions of dollars of park improvements across the city. So she is so effective at being able to communicate what our design vision is, being able to keep our contractors on point as we're constructing each of our projects, But as the first picture shows, she's also always keeping an eye outside the construction fence. Kids are always, at the fence waiting for it to open, and she goes out and talks to them and gives them our toy construction hats. And when we have our neighborhood meetings, gets everybody talking, gets everybody comfortable with sharing what their concerns are, their feedback is. She's amazing. And everything that we've done, all of our signature playgrounds she's been a part of, are all as a result of what she can bring to any of our projects. So as we go through, and we're in the midst of building a bunch of ball fields now with our 2018 bond package, and we'll begin starting discussions on what happens after we're done with this round. She'll be a part of all that. So she also does a great job of reaching out across all of our staff to make sure their voices are heard on what they're wanting to see as we do improvements, to make sure things are maintainable. She bridges all of those stakeholders and makes sure that their priorities are accounted for in what we're doing.
That is fantastic. I absolutely love that this picture that you send of her outside the fence that's just such a great way to connect with the community, and kind of made my heart warm when I saw that picture. It's very cool. All right. Thank you all so much. As I said, we love this segment. It's one of the just feel good things that we do all the time. So thank you all so much for sharing that information. We do want to share a little bit more information with you as well. I know that this is probably review for a lot of you folks because you are here. So obviously you were able to, get registered for the show. We will want to do a reminder because we'll put this on the YouTube channel. So for people that want to give some information to colleagues about how to register, we thought we'd go through this just really quick to have it on here. And then if you have any episode or questions about the episode or about CEUs or anything at all, go ahead and type those in the chat box, and we'll get to those as soon as we're done here. So when you go to this education.playcorps.com, you see this page here, and the first thing that you have to do is set up an account. So you can see the arrow pointing to that there. That is the key to be able to do everything within here. Register for classes, get to your CEUs, etc. You'll see on step 2 there on the left, you'll see kind of what that create account looks like. We'll ask you for your numbers for all of your different CEUs. Obviously, if you don't have 2 that are showing here, we didn't show the entire application, or AIA and ASLA. If you don't have those numbers, don't worry about putting them in, you skip them. We just want to make sure that we can correlate your CEUs to the system that you use for your education. Once you've created that, you can go back, you've got your account set up, you can go in and start registering for events. You'll see there's 3 categories there: live webinars, on demand, and then good news in parks. There's also a list of current events that shows underneath those where you can read all the events. And when you hover over that list, the register button or more information button will show up. We do have the season 3 episode 2 show is now live in the system. So you can all go to that after this and register to join us next week. We'll tell you about that show in just a second. And then you can register for that. You'll have the option when you hit register, and all the registration is free, so don't pay attention to the cart language, it's free. You'll see a pop-up there. You can either complete the registration now if you just want to sign up for that one, or you can add it to a cart and go back in and see what other sessions you might want to sign up for and do them all at one time. So that's what that pop-up button there is all about. And then you'll go to your cart. There'll be some questions for you to ask there. Remember, when you see that where the arrow is pointed, who referred you to Good News in Parks, that is where we are going to be gathering that information. And the person who refers the most new viewers in season 3 is going to get that awesome Good News in Parks prize package. There's like a hat, you'll get the cup that you see everybody with during the show that the panelists have. We're going to do a jacket. Thank you, Jay, for drinking from your cup there. Wonderful cue. Go ahead and fill that out and then register. You'll see that your registration is complete. And then you will get this email at your email address from Center for Outreach, Research, and Education. So please make sure that you whitelist core at playcore.com so that those don't get blocked. What I always do when you get these, and this is one of my registrations, is I take that information that's in the email and I immediately create a calendar event for myself with those links, because I don't know about you, but I will never find it again if I don't do it in the moment. So that lets you go ahead and create that. You'll get an alert. And then when that alert pops up, all the info that you need for the show will be there. And about our next show, we have a fantastic panel here. A lot of you have wanted to know what's going on in large urban communities. So that's who we have next week. We have John Dargle with the City of Atlanta, Maria Nardi with Miami-Dade, and Jay Nicholas Williams with City of Oakland, all big cities doing big things. Even if you're not from a big city, there's going to be a lot of great things that you can learn from them. So we are super excited about that. And we do hope that you will register and join us. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do right now. I actually have Ines Palacios. She handles all of our CEU information through this show here. Let me stop the screen. And I'm going to put her on the spot here. I'm actually not putting her on the spot. She knows that this is coming. I'm going to make it so that she can speak. Let me just hit this here. Okay, Ines should be able to join us now. You can see her image there. I don't think I can bring her image up, but I can bring her voice up.
It's okay, but I think people can hear me, right?
Okay, yes, we can hear you. Awesome. So we do have a question, Ines, from Dee in the audience, who says, can recreational therapists use these CEUs from shows? Maybe you can check with NCTRC through NRPA. I'd love to see more people familiar with the disability world and inclusion be part of the conversation.
Yes, so thank you, Maria, and thank you for having me here. Hi, everyone. This is Ines Palacios, Training and Professional Development Manager at Playcore Core. So the answer is yes, we are providing CEUs through ISET. So any association that might require CEUs, we got you covered. So make sure to complete the survey. And then immediately after you complete the survey, you can access your certificate and you can download it, print it, save it, frame it. It's completely up to you, okay? But it's there and it's available 24/7 for you. So that's why we like this system as well, because you can find all the information in one place. Any other questions, Anne-Marie?
Yes, says that you need to relate, this is from Jane, you need to relate the content of the program to NCTRC job analysis. So I'm sure that's something that you can get familiar with and help us to do that.
Okay.
Yes, if they will email me at core@playcore.com, we can help them. I don't know the details about that program, but I will certainly look into it.
Awesome. All right, do we have any other questions? Dee says thank you. All right, so perfect. Jody, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can take us out.
Well, I just tell you, I'm so glad we went to this platform. We're used to it for his colleagues in the field, and love it that you're at the international level with CEUs. That just helps a lot of us that have different type of backgrounds and certifications. Folks, what a show. 3 heroes here. Unconditional commitment to our field and passion for what you're doing every day. Thank you all so much. Gary, same to you. Thank you for joining us. And Anne-Marie, we are off and running for season 3. Rock and roll.
We are off and running. Awesome. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the next show. And if you have any questions, again, please send them to core@playcore.com. We'll get those answered for you. And we are looking forward to a great season. And get your colleagues to register, because I want to send you that awesome prize package. It is
No kidding.
pretty darn cool. So, all right.
Everyone
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.